What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is going to be your review for Delilah season 1 episode 7. So listen, Delilah woke up in a good mood, honey, because remember she had the date with her Latin lover and they was tangling. They wasn't calling it tangle, but that's all I got for y'all is they was tangling down to the kitchen. So she wakes up the next morning. She ain't got the kids, okay? She don't have the baby. She said it's the first time she done woke up by herself in a year, okay? Well, yeah. She said like 13 months, child. Her investigator comes through and he says, listen, I've been watching these people and we found out that that there was a, one of those like mailbox, etc. Deposit boxes. And he had been keeping an eye on it because he was like, well, you know what's in the name? It's in the name of the guy that they've been looking for, the guy from the army that's been signing off on everything that they can't seem to find. Well, guess who comes in and closes out the box? Gary Shay's wife. Excuse me. So now they're like, well, wait a minute, ma'am. How did this have anything to do with that? That's connected to this. That's connected to that. Inquiring minds want to know. So she puts him on it. She was like, listen, I need you to get to the bottom of that. We need to know how, the who, the what, the where, and the what with this whole situation. Now, while that's going on, over to Tamara's house, her and her soon-to-be husband, but they were supposed to be taking the day off so they could do wedding stuff. Baby, he done got him on an emergency trip up to Raleigh to handle some business, and she is in her feelings about it. I understand her being in her feelings about it. But I feel like they leading us to something with this that they not quite giving us yet. Because I feel like she got a little too... you're dealing with a politician. He got called up to Raleigh. That's the state capital. Clearly, it was something dealing with work. Yeah, you planning a wedding, but girl, like you are a corporate attorney at any point in time. You could get called off at the last minute. So I ain't understand why that was such a big deal. But anyway. Now, down to the Conley office, we got Miss Barnes and we have Miss Jane Doe. They there together, that awkward silence. And just when they were getting ready to sort of have a conversation about it, Delilah gets there and asks them, have y'all worked things out? And they kind of giving each other that awkward, you good? I'm good. Are we good? We not good? Okay, well, I guess we not good yet. And then here come walking in the office is Miss Layla. Now, Layla come walking in the office talking about something I want to settle. Delilah was like, oh, whoa, what? What do you mean we're going to settle? She said, it's not even an offer on the table. She was like, yes, it is. Call Fred. Delilah said, he Fred now. Oh, we back to that? We back to him being Fred? Y'all on the first name basis? She was like, tell me what happened. She said, well, he came over my house last night and he started reminding me that I signed off on all kinds of stuff that I didn't even know I had signed off on. Delilah was like, whoa, wait a minute. Do you remember signing off on it? And she was like, no. But he was giving me paperwork all the time. And I could have signed off and didn't even know I was. So basically, if it goes to court, it's going to make it look like I was in cahoots with the whole situation. And I wasn't. So therefore, I just want to settle. He put more money on the table than I ever thought I was going to get for me to walk away. And Delilah was like, well, that's all the more reason why we need to investigate where this offer is all of a sudden coming from. Now, while this is going on, Tamara gets a phone call from Fred telling him to settle and telling her what the offer is. And she was like, wait a minute, what? Like, of course, she's questioning it. But in her mind, listen, this is perfect. Everybody walks away a winner. And I can get my best friend back and I can keep this thing moving. Because in her mind, listen, we are all here just doing our job. And I get it. I respect it. I understand it. Everybody just doing their job. But the faster I can get my best friend back and move past this whole situation, the better I will feel about it. Okay? The better I will be about the whole situation. Now, while that's going on. Now, in the meantime, while we dealing with all of that, Delilah convinces Layla to give her 24 hours. She said, listen, I get it. I understand. But give me 24 hours because at the end of the day, this is not about you anymore. This is about my brother. And this is about who possibly has my brother sitting in that wheelchair and has, changed the total trajectory of his life. And so, I'm gonna still do right by you as my client, but give me 24 hours just to convince you that we can get more, that this can be bigger. And Layla was like, listen, I'm gonna let you get your little 24 hours, but please know you're not gonna change my mind. I'm gonna take the money and I'm gonna keep it moving. But go on, do what you gotta do for 24 hours. So she goes to her investigator to get him to try to see if he can prove that those invoices that Leia allegedly signed off on aren't real, that they've been falsified and that they were backdated or something. And so we see him actually meeting up with a friend of his, and we get the impression that something that went down between him and Delilah. I don't know if it's unrequited love. I don't know if they tried to make something work and it just didn't. They just wasn't able to, make it work. But he's still sort of holding a torch or holding out hope. But neither here nor there. She was like, listen, I know you ain't never going to consider leaving Delilah, but I got this job offer. And he was like, yeah, no, I'm good. And she was like, will you at least meet with the woman? And he was like, no. But for you, okay, fine, I'll listen. But they are able to find it. They are able to find that these documents have been falsified. Now, while they're doing that, on the other side of town, down to Connolly's offices, we have Miss Barnes and Miss Jane Doe in the office again. And she is looking at, like, Judge Judy style shows, which, of course, I love Judge Judy, okay? Those of you who know me, y'all know I love me some Judge Judy. And what they're able to do is find a connection between Gary Shea's wife. Under her maiden name, she went on the Judge Judy style show, taking her boyfriend to court for moving expenses or cost or whatever. Come to find out, this guy that they've been looking for that was signing off on all of these false records from the Army is her ex-boyfriend. There is a connection. They know each other, okay? And so they are able to put it together. They called Delilah. Delilah was like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. This is great. This is wonderful that y'all were able to find this. Y'all go ahead. I got me a nice little bottle of wine that I keep there. That was a gift from a client. It's real expensive. It's real nice. Y'all drink it on me. The good thing is they get to drinking this wine and they finally get to have the talk they need to have. And we finally learn a little bit about Miss Barnes. And we understand, I still think it's something else there, but I think we got 99% of it. She was a law student, fell in love, met this guy on a Catholic dating site. He worked at the Arboretum here up here in D.C. If you ever come to D.C., go to the Arboretum. It's beautiful. Anyway, met at the Arboretum, and they were married, moved down to North Carolina. She was still in law school here, and he started acting funny. Having mood swings, getting almost violent. He lost his job. She left him, and then they found out he had a brain tumor, and it was cancerous. And of course, it kept moving around. And by the time they were able to, sort of operate, it was too far, and he passed away. And she said, I realized that I had, she said, after being depressed for a year, not doing anything, I realized that I had to get my life back. And that's when I went back to law school. And so, and Harper, aka Jane Doe, was like, well, what inspired you? She was like, your story. Reading about Jane Doe's story, Delilah, reading about that story is what inspired me. She said, now at the end of the day, I know she lost that case, but your story inspired me. And so they sort of bond over that, and then certain things start making sense. Her love of plants and why she goes so hard, and why she sort of kind of came at her so hard about going back to law school. And you might have hit a couple of roadblocks, but don't let it take away your dreams, like all of that. So they bonded. They definitely bonded. They're definitely going to be in a better place, and may even walk away friends, I guess. Delilah is at home with the churn. Of course, they're doing what churn do. Her daughter is not here for nothing to do with daddy. She is not happy with daddy. She is not, she's teasing her little brother because she said the little brother's in love with the girlfriend. And she's, being a teenager, sort of in her feelings about it, not happy about the whole situation. Not really happy about the whole breakdown, get down, hold down situation. Um, and then Tamara comes over and says, "Girl, listen, I know you got the call that I got, so let's go ahead and let's work out this settlement. We gotta, we have to choose a mediator so we can mediate and hammer this offer out, even though that's just a formality, because he offering, she accepting, and we can get our lives back. Like, we can get back to being friends. Like, let's do this." And so at first, Delilah was like, I got 24 hours. My client gave me 24 hours, and I'm going to prove my case. And Tamara was like, okay, but first of all, I don't care about none of that. What I do care about is, even if we do all of what you just said, we still need to go through this formality. So can we go ahead and take care of it and get it done? So they sit down and they go over it, and they sort of fall back into their little banter, their whole back and forth thing. And Delilah reminds Tamara what the problem is. She reminds Tamara that at the end of the day, yes, you're doing your job and I'm doing my job. But here's where my bone of contention with you is that as my best friend, I have expressed to you that this is connected to my brother, and you still don't seem to care about that part. And Tamara is like, girl, what? Girl, I care about it. But at the end of the day, I got to do my job. And that don't fall under it. And so they're still sort of not in a good place because Tamara can't let go of that part. And I'm going to be honest, if it were my brother, I don't know if it'd be so easy for me to let go of it either. I'm just telling you. Now, while they're doing this, the investigator shows up to give her the good news that they were able to prove the timestamp was falsified and all of that. And at first, he doesn't want to talk in front of Tamara, but Delilah was like, well, hell, she going to find out through discovery anyway, so you might as well go ahead and say it. And so he breaks it down, about how the paperwork was falsified and that, those invoices mysteriously showed up after her computer was found, conveniently found. And, she was like, so we're going to file some paperwork tomorrow because all of this is not connecting. This is not making no sense. Now, they end up the next day, they have a deposition scheduled for Gary Shea's wife. And so they have her there. And they get her to admit that she knows this guy, their connection. She was like, listen, we found you. Like, we found you on the internet. We see that y'all used to date. So just tell us the whole story. Like, let's tell us what's going on. And so she tells him, she said, listen, we worked this up. It was a scheme. It was all connected, but Gary started having cold feet and started feeling bad. And that's when things got bad for him at work. And that's when, basically that's where y'all came into the picture, is when he started feeling bad and started having sort of like, some bad feelings. They're also trying to prove that they knew that the equipment was faulty based on purchase orders for this whole little demo and how long they've been testing the equipment as well. And so they finally get the story out of her, and they finally are starting to connect some of these dots. And just as she's leaving out the office, Leia's coming in the office because, of course, it's been 24 hours and Leia want her money. How about Leia done met the woman? Leia done took packages over to the woman's house literally the day before her husband killed himself. So Delilah is now looking at Layla like, well, wait a minute. You weren't even working for the company at the time. Well, I was friends with Gary for a long, not Gary, Frank for a long time. And he just asked me to do him a favor. She was like, so basically what you telling me is that you potentially delivered something. Because she was taking presents for the baby. Remember, they just had a baby. She said, so you delivered packages to him 24 hours before he killed himself? Before a company you don't even work for no more? That you were literally about to sue? That fired you? So, of course, once again, we're back at Layla knowing more than what she's saying and having more information, and Delilah is on the outside looking crazy. That was what it was, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.